Good evening. There's been a five-fold rise in 1 year in the number of complaints over poor quality housing for serving soldiers. The SNP obtained the figures and described the rise as shocking. The Ministry of Defence say they're investing hundreds of millions of pounds in improvements and have encouraged occupants to raise concerns. Lisa Summers reports.
Scottish soldiers can find themselves deployed in the most challenging environments across the globe. But what about the conditions that meet them when they return to base? Many soldiers return to barracks, others receive subsidised housing in the local community. But concerns have been raised about the standards of accommodation they're coming back to. The MOD was criticised last year for badly letting down army personnel. Figures released to the SNP by the MOD show complaints about accommodation here in Scotland to have gone up from 101 in 2015 to 517 in 2016. So far this year there have been 150 complaints. It comes on the back of news last year that the MOD is to close 8 military bases in Scotland.
The feeling is that they're running this accommodation down before getting rid of it, and that is really not acceptable. We in the public in Scotland expect there to be an armed forces covenant which looks after soldiers, which looks after people who serve in the armed forces for us and their families, and this really isn't up to standard.
The MOD says it's actively been encouraging soldiers and their families to make complaints. They say over the past 6 years they've spent £600 million on improvements, and that over the past year the number of complaints has reduced significantly. Lisa Summers reporting Scotland, Dreghorn Barracks.
The Ministry of Defence are reviewing security after a tiny drone landed on the deck of Britain's biggest warship while it was docked in the Highlands last month. The former First Minister Alex Salmond has criticised his party over its treatment of former SNP MP Michelle Thompson. Ms Thompson has said she was given no choice but to resign the SNP whip after fraud allegations were made against a former business associate. Speaking at an event to promote tomorrow's debut of his show at the Edinburgh Fringe, Mr Salmond said the SNP had faced a difficult situation which it had handled badly. But he also blamed the media for destroying Ms Thompson's political career. Ms Thompson was one of 5 people named in a Police Scotland report to prosecutors last December about alleged mortgage fraud. Earlier this month, the Crown Office announced there was no credible and reliable evidence that she'd engaged in illegal activity. Ms Thompson, who's always denied any wrongdoing, has since criticised the SNP leadership over her treatment and suggested Nicola Sturgeon should apologise. The First Minister recently described the Michelle Thompson situation as not easy for her party. The SNP has yet to comment today. Shetland's oil decommissioning industry shifted up a gear today as the Buchan Alpha platform came ashore for dismantling. It's the biggest single project handled in the islands. Decommission is expected to be worth more than £17 billion over the next decade. On to football, and there were 5 matches in the Premiership today. Hibs and Hearts both scored away wins. Big crowds have been gathering on Glasgow Green for the World Pipe Band Championships. Around 8,000 pipers and drummers are playing for the ultimate prize in pipe band competition.